Hope you're ready for some more Skinwalker tales. Oh. It's been a while since we've touched on this topic. Got my tobacco out for this one, and hope you're ready. Topic of Skinwalkers and Yanagloshis are one not lightly talked about, but here at Shanclen Shadow Productions, it's become pretty much a staple for the channel to be able to discuss and educate the folks out there of what Skinwalkers actually are. Now, I've gotten a lot of comments and questions about why would you even become a Skinwalker or Yanagloshi? Now, I've touched on this before in a couple of my past videos, but never really got into full detail about why somebody would want to become a Yanagloshi. And there are a lot of reasons why somebody would want to jump in the skins. Now, for everybody out there that doesn't really understand or never really been in the res or has friends in the res that kind of tell them stories about reservation life. For a lot of people out there that do not understand, you kind of have to look at the home of where somebody comes from that is part Yanagloshi. You have to think about who their mother, their father, their grandparents, uncles, aunties, cousins, relatives are. What kind of family relationship do they have? And unfortunately, on the reservations, there's a lot of corruption out there. Darkness. It's a hard subject to talk about. It's a hard subject to get into because you start dealing with alcoholism. You start dealing with drug abuse. You start dealing with domestic violence, verbal abuse, all sorts of different things because you have to look at the history of our people, everything that we have gone through. Look at the brief history of indigenous peoples. We didn't get the right to be able to perform our ceremonies legally in the United States until the 1970s. Our people went through boarding schools. My grandparents, my mother was the last generation, at least in these parts, to go through kind of a militaristic boarding school setting, residential schools. And luckily, like me and my siblings, we didn't have to go through that harsh punishment that my grandmother, my mother, and even before that too, of schooling of residential schools in the United States and even in Canada too. There's still very, very recent times of residential schools actually being opened. Residential schools of teaching us that our culture and our way of life is the way of the devil, the way of the demons. And when we speak our language, we're speaking the devil's tongue. We would be punished for speaking our language. We would be punished, and sometimes children were even killed at these locations. So you got to think, a lot of those people that went through that are still alive today. The repercussions and the effects of going through that your way of life, being trained, is going to lead you to damnation. When you go through such things, such traumas like that, you go through a lot of different things in those boarding schools. And there's a lot of abuse, physical and sometimes sexual abuses too. There are cases of that too in there. And so when you return home, a lot of times in the reservation life is hard. It is hard for a lot of the normal everyday people. Like, we don't have the most luxurious houses. We don't have the luxury. A lot of times families on the reservation don't have electricity, running water out there still to this day. There's still about 10,000 families out there in the reservation that don't have running water or electricity out there. It's kind of very, very hard to survive out there. You have to go haul water. The nearest grocery store could be like 45 minutes to an hour away. Same thing with the police. Same thing with, if you try to get a hold of the police, Navajo Nation police, if you've seen any of the documentaries on TV, they're very, very understaffed as far as for trying to keep law and order inside of the reservation. You have the effects of generational trauma from genocide, from everything we've been through. Different tribes have their tragedies and everything that they have gone through, the long walks, the wars, the battles, and being imprisoned on reservations. Up until the time when we were able to finally leave reservations. At one point, there were concentration camps for our people. So people dealing with the loss, people dealing with certain things and being relocated to different places, it's hard. You go into alcoholism, you go into drug abuse, you deal with so many different things because a lot of times you couldn't resort to going to ceremony to getting help because it was illegal. And so the nearest thing that you could try to do is just go into all these different things that weren't good for you. And that's one of the hardest things, is losing touch with who you are and where you come from. For a lot of people out there who ask questions about the indigenous faith, indigenous belief, it's a lot of connection with Mother Earth. It's a lot of connection with the spiritual people, the Indiana themselves. And when you lose touch with that, life gets very, very hard for you because it's hard to fit in. It's hard to go in with all this everyday life. So you try to find ways to cope. You sometimes you don't have people nearby that can help you out. There's not a lot of good. There's good influences out there. There's also a lot of bad influences out there, and a lot of times it does come from the home, to where you grow up with that toxicity being normal, that toxicity being a part of your life. Now, am I saying that every home on the reservation's like this? Hell no. But there are some cases out there that are like that. And it's not just our Navajo Nation that's going through this, or just indigenous people themselves. There's people from every race and religion and faith all across the world dealing with hardship just like this. And when it comes to vulnerabilities, not having anybody there to show you a way out, show you a way to guide you to get through certain things like this, a lot of times these families out here are stuck with that toxicity. A lot of times these families are, they have no way out of breaking that generational trauma, going through, getting away from that, because it's an everyday thing. I know a lot of people that have gone through this certain situation, and I always ask, like, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just go away? And then they're like, go where? I have no job. I have no money. I have no car. And jobs in the reservations are very few and in between. Work at the chapter house, you can go work at the grocery store, gas station, or you start going into the construction field, or you have to do what I did and leave the reservation to find work. I was working in the solar industry. Industries that don't really work out or have a lot of jobs in the reservation up until recently. And it's very interesting to kind of think about the psychology of why somebody would want to turn to darkness and evil. Is because you're either born into it and that becomes normal in everyday life. And when you have bad influences, especially on the reservation, when you pick friends, when you pick role models in your life that go down a dark path, it's kind of easier to follow with them because it's cool. It's a lot easier to go through certain things and follow certain people. So A, you don't get bullied, 2, you don't get beat up, and then 3, you get to keep your life. And when you think about why does someone do evil, there are a lot of reasons why out there. People would go and want to go jump in the skin or do evil things. There's not just jump in the skins, but there's also evil witching that happens on the reservation. There's also different things that happen everywhere. But it all comes around to the unique situation that this person was put into to become a villain. It also comes down to a lot of human emotions, like why does somebody get mad? Why does somebody get upset? No one is born and wants to be mad. No one, I bet there's some cases out there that are like that. But for the normal person, no one likes to be mad. No one likes to be upset. And sometimes you get to the point to where being upset and mad makes you happy, which is kind of weird. But it's something that, like, whenever somebody's mad or upset, what's going on? Talk to me about it. Sometimes just needing to vent it out, help them find solutions is all it takes. Now, I'm going to share a story with you that I was told one day when, after we got to be able to see on a scouting mission, pretty much Yanagloshis running around in the middle of the night. We're watching them, and I turned to one of my relatives and I looked at him and I asked him, I was just like, why would somebody want to be something like this? We were sitting up on the hillside at night. It's a full moon out, and then we saw those people drive up from their cars and they go meet up at a certain spot. We heard about it. We got tipped off of the information. So we're scouting it out. We're looking and we see them get dressed up, and then they start singing their songs. And then they begin the transformations into their animals, and they change into their skins and stuff, put on the body paint and all this stuff. We were there, and then they run off. And then when they were gone, we were getting ready to leave, and I turned to my relative and I asked him, I was like, why would somebody want to do this? After they left, you knew they were going to go do something mischievous. You knew they were going to go do something very bad. He said, I'm going to tell you a story about this young boy I met a long time ago. He grew up in a house to where his mother had passed away of an illness. It's a long time ago. And this boy had a father that was dealing with the loss of his wife. He was an only child. And in this story, he tells me that the father really went down a dark path of alcoholism. And the son was very, very young. The son was very innocent. He was kind of going through a lot of trauma too about losing his mom. And there really was no other relatives to kind of go and take care of him. So the father said that he'll take care of him. But in his grieving, the father used to beat the son out of anger. And a lot of times the father used to blame his son for his mother's death. He used to tell him, like, I wish she was here and you weren't. Very, very, very belittling, demeaning, soul-crushing words his father spoke to him. He went on through this for years and years and years. And he would go to school and he would meet some guys that were they would bully him, do all these different things. And he ended up getting bullied so much, getting beat up, so many different things, that he would return home to his father, and his father would get mad at him and then beat him. He's just like, why are you letting these kids beat you? I'll show you a real beating. And he started beating his son even more. So one day the son had enough. The son did not want to go through this hardship. He didn't want to do anything really anymore. So he ran away from his home. And when he ran away from his home, he was going to go to the cliffs and jump, take his own life, because he wanted to be with his mom. But when he was getting close to the cliffs, he was crying. And it was the middle of the night. He was walking through, going up the hill toward the canyons, until something came up to him. And then he turned and looked, and it was a Yanagloshi with a big old smile on his face. He said,
"What's wrong?"
And the little boy, he wasn't scared. He's never seen a Yanagloshi before, and he was at a point mentally to where he didn't care what happened to him. So there was really no fear of what this person could do to him, because his father and those kids at school already pretty much did the worst that they could to him. And he says, I'm going to go meet the creator. I'm going to go meet my death.
He said, "Why?"
And the boy told him everything. He said,
"Oh, you're seeking love. You're seeking family. You're seeking connection. People to look after you and protect you, right?"
The boy was crying, shedding tears. He's like, yep, that's all I want. That's all I want is somebody to say they love me. So that Yanagloshi looked over at the canyon, looked back at the boy, said,
"Well, I'll give that to you, but at a price."
The boy said, what? What's the price?
He says, "You can get your revenge on your father, and I'll help you."
He said, what do you mean? He asked the boy,
How bad do you want this? How bad do you want this connection? Because when you do this, you'll be a part of me and my family.
And then, sure enough, he pointed over to his left side, and there was eyes that started glowing into the trees.
These will be your brothers and sisters. from now on. But a sacrifice has to be made. Your father is the only one that you have in your family left. His soul for your happiness.
And the boy didn't second guess it. Yanagloshi asked,
Where do you live?
the boy pointed. And they went and they got rid of his father very brutally. And the Yanagloshi was hyping him up. He was...
Does that feel good? Do you feel great doing this?
And the boy said, yes. He's all like...
Do you feel strong? Do you feel powerful?
He said, yes. So with the help of the Yanagloshi and that Skinwalker, they were able to take out his father. And they took his body and did what they had to. And so that Yanagloshi took him to a cave and sat him down by a fire. And there was a couple other young kids that were there too. So you
guys will be you are my new children. I will teach you how to do this.
And so the boy felt that connection, felt that love. And when he felt that love, everything that they did, even though it was bad, to him, in his mind, he was taught that it was good. And so all this stuff that kind of went on over the years, like he was one of those people that were kind of what we consider like those nomads or kind of glani spirits that would kind of roam, never really had a home. So, but they would steal, they would eat local animals, and they would kind of go about like that. And they would, when they would kind of get rid of targets, sometimes they'd take their monies, their cars, or stuff like that. And they would kind of live that lifestyle that's like that. Till one day, that boy ran into my relative. And that boy was sent to Guji him. And for people who don't know, Guji means witch him. Get him sick and kill him. He had a bounty out for him. And he was looking, he was watching, waiting for the moon to kind of go behind the clouds one night. And he was watching the relative play with his children at the time, playing with the dogs and being happy. And he was intrigued by this. He was intrigued by a different type of love and understanding. And so the boy was sitting there. Then the relative looked up over the hill and he sensed them. He knew that they were here. So he told the kids to kind of go inside and lock the doors. So the relative started walking up toward the hill, but he never got really too close. And then that boy was like, shoot, does he know I'm here? He was thinking that. And this relative knew a lot of different ceremonies, so he can be able to kind of sense what he was thinking. I guess you can say he was a type of Hatali, a medicine man. And then he says, yeah, I know you're there. And the boy got shivers and he freaked out. And he said, what are you doing over here? And then the boy didn't say nothing. And then there was a couple other Yanagloshis that were kind of further away. They were listening too. And he started talking with him. He says, I sense a lot of damage to your soul, hardship in your soul. And I just want to let you know that I love you. And he got shivers down his spine. He says, everything that you have done, you can stop. He says, you can find a better life. You can find a better way. What you're doing is not good. You hurting people, you scaring people the way that you do is not good. The people that you hang around with are not good. You are somebody that deserves better in your life. And that boy was kind of just sitting there as his voice echoed kind of throughout the valley. He had power with it. He had love with it, good intention with it. And that boy has never really felt anything like that in his life. So he was trying to comprehend what all this is, up until when that boy kind of started thinking back on his life, thinking back on all these things. That man was telling him, he was like, this right here, this is what family is, our people. This is what we walk in beauty with happiness and love. This is what being Dene really means. He's like, I'm pretty sure you never had anybody teach you that. Right as that little boy kind of, by this time he's probably like a teenager, but he started thinking and questioning his life. His master came and grabbed him by the neck, pushed him down into the ground, and hit him in his back a couple times. And he's like,
don't you ever think about leaving. Don't you ever think about abandoning your family.
And then he grabs a knife, puts it up to his neck, and threatens him.
If you leave, this blade is waiting for you.
So that boy got scared. That boy had fear in him. So he was ordered to pull back, and that man said a prayer in Navajo for him. Said a prayer in Navajo for everybody that was there, all those Yanagloshis that were there. And he went back inside. Then the thing is with this is that man, I guess you could say, had aura, but he had a lot of spiritual energy enough to where his presence alone was a shield that these Yanagloshis knew that they couldn't get to him because he was that powerful. So they ended up turning away and going back. And that boy was sitting there, all his brothers and sisters and his father, and he was looking, and they were planning and scheming and all these different things and all the deeds that he's done in his life up until that point, until one morning, early in the morning when the sun came up, he ran away. He turned and never returned back, and he ran from those people, and he got his skin and he hung it up. He was done, and he walked off. That relative told me that story because that boy years later found him, shook his hand, told him, "Thank you for what you did for me." The man was like, "Who is this boy? I don't understand who this was." And he's just like, oh yeah. And then well, it didn't click for him until a little while later, thought about who that boy was. And the energy he felt from his hand kind of was sadness, but it was kind of the sadness of redemption. And that boy wasn't wearing the skin that night, and he was one of the people again. And he was going back on that holy road. And so he told me that story. He's like, when it comes to evil, when it comes to corrupted people, there is a chance for them to turn back and not want to do evil things no more. There's always room for redemption. There's always room to kind of go back. Like he told me, he was just like, it'll be a hard road, but kind of got to go into hiding after you give up these skins, learn from them and their techniques, everything. So, but this story was one of those stories that really hit me hard, made me look at darkness and evil that's out there. Is because when you think about these certain stories that are like this, about people who are born into unfortunate situations, not even just born, but life happens and hardship happens, and the surrounding and everything they have around you, sometimes you have no choice but to kind of go through it, and how you go through it is up to you. And unfortunately, the cards that this person was dealt was ones that led him down that dark path. But am I saying that this is a situation for every skinwalker out there? No, it's not. Some people are just evil. There's people that are just like willing to be like, yeah, like I want to go ahead and jump in the skins. I want to go fuck with some people because they're jealous people. In their minds, they're taught to be jealous. Somebody's doing better than you, I'm gonna witch you, or I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna do all these different things. And that's just not that's like a trait that's like not even just like with Navajo Nation or anything like that. And then when people will comment and ask me, why does people want to be skinwalkers? Why would they do such evil things? And I'm just like, why does evil do evil? Skinwalkers and Navajo Nation aren't the only things in the world that do evil things. You have serial killers, you have all these other murderers, school shooters, all these other different things out there in the world. And it's not even just those people that commit murder. It's like people that lie, that betray, backstab, business people, all these other different things out there that try to win with an evil mindset, and they love it. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's a certain chemical drive, like that they're addicted to doing evil things, mischievous things in their own way and in their own life. They got used to it, and they learned to love it. So when it comes to why would they want to go and do these things, well, that's a scenario of why it could be. Two scenarios, like somebody just grew up that way and they got used to that toxicity. They wanted family, they wanted love, but it's the wrong kind of love, and the evil and darkness will manipulate you in such a way. So with these things that happen, it's very unfortunate. You got to pray for these things, but sometimes things and spirits and people are just born evil. Some people just want to watch the world fucking burn. It's crazy to be able to meet people like that. And when you're at the edge, on their edge of their sword, what are you going to do about it? Because no matter what words you say, it's not going to help them whatsoever, because they will take your life, they will take your soul, and they will fucking eat it. It's crazy to be able to meet people like that. And when you ask why, there's a lot of reasons why. A lot of things that could be the reason why. But all you can do, defend yourself, defend your loved ones, pray for your enemies. Pray that they go good. Pray that they find a good life again. Pray that the Creator can give them blessings again. Have that shield of knowing yourself so much that nothing can corrupt you. Even evil comes at you and they see you. You're such of pure heart and mind and intent that they look at you and they're not even going to try. Try to live that way. That's why I always say in my videos, know yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically. Have good memories, have good songs in your head, good prayers, happy memories of laughter, of smiling, but also of the hardship and the loss that gives you strength in your everyday life. That's something that you have to really kind of think about when you walk your everyday life. If you walk like that, darkness and evil can't touch you. No, I'm not going to say 100%. Yeah, those powerful beings still can get you, but still be careful. But still, it gives you a one-up on a lot of different things of darkness and evil in life. So that's a little story I wanted to share about why somebody would want to become a gloshi like that. Why somebody would want to kind of turn into darkness. And not at face value, you got to know and see the whole picture of a people itself, humanity itself, emotions itself, spiritually itself, all these different things, so many different factors when it comes to it. So I want to leave you with that little bit of information, a little bit of teaching I gave you at the end of there, that last little bit right there. Always walk with prayer, always walk in beauty. Yeah. And so, as that story wraps up, I got a couple of updates for you. There's going to be a new episode coming up on the Shanclen Shadow Lodge. This ring and this bracelet was made by Kindle Billa. So that's going to be coming up on the Shanclen Shadow Lodge. Silversmith rings. Ring and a bracelet, so with turquoise. So stay tuned for that. I have a Twitch, and I have a Twitch. Just kidding. No, a Twitch account where I do gaming streams. So that's linked up in my link tree. I do have an Instagram at Clen Warrior SSP, Clen_Warrior _SSP. And TikTok at Shanclen SP. So if you guys have any creepy stories you'd like to send to me, you guys can send it over to ShanclenShadowProductions@gmail.com. And then what else? If you guys got creepy story or videos or anything you'd like to send me, send it to me on Instagram or TikTok, or you can send it to me on email too. I do have a members only section in my page too as well. So if you guys would like to become a member of Shanclen Shadow Productions, you guys get early access to my videos. And so I will be doing live streams every Mondays, video uploads on Wednesdays. And I'm sorry this one's a little bit late, but I wanted to put a little bit more extra attention and care into this story here, because it is very heavy and very spiritually powerful, and I feel it right now. I'm really tired right now, but again, I can't thank you all so much for watching. We are reached over 122,000 subscribers right now. So if you're watching this in the future, we're at 1 million subscribers. Be sure to give a shout out. I'm just kidding. We'll see what the road takes us over here, but be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you guys enjoy these tales, these stories, and these lessons. And I shall see you in the next one. Hope you have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Hakone. God, that was a lot. It's like I lived it, reliving a memory like that. At least starting to cool down, the heat's going away. If you're watching this in winter or any time other than summer, I am currently in summer at the time of this recording and it's hot, but it's starting to cool down. Fall is coming. Halloween is coming. More updates coming soon. Oh. Audio clap.